So far we've talked about solving by graphing, which is nice when both equations are y equals mx plus b. Solving by substitution, when at least one of the variables has been isolated, is by itself. And then we talked about elimination, which is nice when your x and y's are on the same side and are lined up. The last video had ones where they had the same coefficient. This time, if you notice, they don't. With x, I have a 4 and a 1, and with y, I have -1 and +3. So what we want to try to do is to get them to be the same. It really doesn't matter whether you do x or y to get them to be the same. I'm just, for the sake of being simpler, I'm just going to focus on the x's. So the way I talk about doing it is to switch and simplify. What you want to do is switch your coefficients. So this is a 1. You're going to switch them. So I'm going to put the 4 down here and the 1 up here. And then I'm going to simplify that if I can. Kind of think of it as a fraction. Can I simplify 1 over 4? No. So what I'm going to do then is multiply through both of those equations by the number that we decided on. So what you want to make sure you do is distribute to everything. So I'm going to get 1 times 4x is 4x. Oh, look, this first one is just the same thing because we're multiplying by 1, and when I multiply by 1, nothing changes. This bottom one, we are going to be changing stuff since I'm multiplying by 4. So 4 times 1x is 4x. 4 times 3y is 12y. And 4 times 26 is going to be 104. All right. Now, if I straight up combine these right now, my x's would not cancel and my y's would not cancel, which means I need to still do a little bit more work here. So I'm going to change all the signs in one row. It doesn't matter whether you do the first or the second. So I'm going to change the bottom ones like I normally do. And I really suggest doing that in a different color. So 4x minus 4x is going to be 0x, so that cancels. Whoops, lost my negative. Then -y minus 12y is -13y. And then I know I'm going to have a negative, and I need to do 104 minus 26. 104 minus 26. So that would bring me down to 84.78. And now I need to divide both sides by -13. So you probably don't have your times tables memorized for the 13s. So what you want to do is think of something that is close. So 13 is kind of close to 10, so I can make a guess that's close to 8, because 10 times 8 would be 80. I'm going to go a little bit lower than that. So 13, let's try times 7, would be 91, so we're still too high. So let's try 13 times 6. 878, there we go. So you just kind of have to guess and check, because these questions are usually in the calculator inactive part of the test. Alright, so I know the y value of my point is 6, and now I need to take that and plug that answer back in. And it doesn't matter which equation I do, so I'm going to do the first equation. 4x minus y equals 26. So 4x minus, we got 6, equals 26. So we're going to add 6, which would be 32, and divide by 4, and that's going to give me 8 for my x value. So that would be my solution. Let's look at the next one. So once again, if I look at my x's, those are different. If I look at my y's, those are different. So that means I need to do my switch and simplify method. Like I said, it doesn't matter whether you do it with the x's or the y's. I'm just going to do x. So I'm going to switch my coefficients. So the 2 is going to be at the bottom, and the 6 is going to be at the top. We're going to ignore negatives, okay? No negatives. And now look at these. Can I simplify 6 and 2? Is there something that goes into both of those? Yes. What goes into 6 and 2? 2. So that's going to reduce to 3 and 1. When I multiply by 1, that doesn't change anything. So I'm just going to bring over that equation. And then next we're going to do 3 times 2x would give me 6x. 3 times 2y gives me 6y, and 3 times 14 is going to be 42. Now right now, if I added them, what would be 6x minus 6x? Yay, that gives me 0x. So that means I don't need to change any signs because I'm getting the 0x. So I'm going to go ahead and combine. So 0x, which I don't need. 6y minus 5y is just a plain old y. 42 minus 32 is 10. And now I need to substitute that back into an equation. I kind of like the first equation. I like 2's, so we'll do 2's. So 2x plus 2y equals 14. So 2x plus 2 times 10 equals 14. So 2x plus 2 times 10 is 20 equals 14. Subtract 20. So 2x equals negative 6. And if I divide by 2, I get that x equals negative 3. So my point is going to be negative 3, positive 10. Alright, look at this next one. Now, there's a sneaky way you could do this one, but I'm going to, for sake of instruction, we're going to switch and simplify this. So I'm going to put the 2 on the bottom equation and the 3 on the top. And hold your horses if you had a different idea about this problem. So we're going to distribute. 3 times 2x is 6x minus 3y equals negative 48. The number one mistake people make is not distributing to that last number on the other side of the equation. So we're going to get 6x, whoa, that was horrible x, sorry, minus 2y equals negative 44. Right now, if I try to combine them, I'm going to get 12x. So is that going away like I want it to? No. So if it's not going to go away, you need to change all the signs. So I'm going to go minus, plus, plus. And I really think it helps to do it in a different color. So now I'm going to get 0x, which is what I want. Negative 3y plus 2y would be negative y equals negative 48 plus 44. You could say 44 minus 48 would be negative 4. And divide by negative 1. Y equals 4. So there's my y value, and now I need to substitute that in to get my x value. And they look pretty much the same, so I'm going to do the first one. I don't always do the first one. I just am today. So 2x minus 4 equals negative 16. So we want to add 4. So 2x equals negative 12. And then we're going to divide by 2. So x equals negative 6. Alright, so we got negative 6, 4. Now, I bet someone out there is thinking, but wait, look at the y values. Well, let's look at the y values. What are both coefficients for y? They're already both 1, so I don't need to do all this switch and simplify nonsense because I actually already have the same coefficient if I look at the y's, which is why you don't want to just pay attention to x, even though you can always get the right answer that way, because sometimes I can do it a lot shorter. So looking at that right now, if I just tried to solve this, I would get negative 2y right there, but I want those to cancel. So what I need to do is change all the signs in one equation. I'm just going to do the bottom. So negative, positive, positive. And then we're going to combine this. So we get 2x minus 3x is negative x. Negative 1 plus 1y would be 0y, so that part is gone. Negative 16 plus 22 is 6. So I'll divide by -1. So x equals -6. And now I have to substitute into one of these equations. I always use the one I didn't mess up. So 2x minus y equals -16. And I'm going to substitute in -6 for x. So 2 times -6 minus y equals -16. So -12 minus y equals -16. Add the 12. Woo, 12. So -y equals -4. And divide by -1. So y equals +4. Which hopefully is the same answer we got before. I already can't remember. Yep, -6, +4. Alright. Now this one we got some bigger numbers, which is where you're going to hate your life if you don't use my switch and simplify. So if I switch, the 18's on the bottom, 9's on the top. And how do those simplify? What goes into 9 and 18? Well, 9 does, so that's going to reduce to 1, and this is going to reduce to 2. Okay, all of a sudden this isn't going to be a totally horrible problem. So multiplying by 1 doesn't change your life, so just bring that over here. Copy it down. And then now we're going to distribute. So 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times -6 is -12y. And 2 times 12 is 24. And I'm going to change all my signs. Whoops, let's go back to talk about y. So right now if I added them, that would give me a 36x. I need it to be a 0x because the whole point of elimination is to eliminate. So if I'm not eliminating, I did it wrong. So I'm going to change all the signs. Negative, positive, negative. So now I get 18x minus 18x is 0x. Yay. -7y plus 12y is 5y. And 29 minus 24 is 5. And last step is to divide by 5. Notice every single time we're doing elimination, one of your variables, in this case x, goes away. If it doesn't go away, you did it wrong. Alright, I'm actually going to use the second equation this time to plug that into because it has nicer numbers. So 9x minus 6 times the y value we found was 1 equals 12. So 9x minus 6 equals 12. Two-step equation, add 6, not a 1, add 6. 9x equals 18. So x equals 2. So my point for this answer would be 2, 1. And last one, I believe. Gotta switch and simplify. Once again, that's because my x's have different coefficients from each other and my y's have different coefficients from each other. And when I'm asking if they're the same, I'm meaning the absolute value. We're not worrying about negatives at first. Always multiply by positive numbers. Alright, so we're going to switch and simplify. So the bottom one gets the 4, the top one gets the 6. Is there something that goes into 6 and 4? Yep, 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and now we're going to distribute those. So 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times 10y is 30y. 3 times -8 is -24. 2 times 6x is 12x. 2 times -18y, or sorry, times -9 is -18y. And 2 times -12 is -24. So if I combine these right now, I'm going to get 24x. I don't want 24x, I want 0x. So we need to change all the signs. Negative, positive, positive. Now I get my 0x. 30 plus 18 would be 48. Y. Don't forget about the big numbers because what happens next? -24 plus 24 would be 0. And now we're going to divide both sides by 48. and we get y equals 0, which is a happy number to plug in. I'm going to use the first equation. 4x plus 10 times, what did we get for y? We got 0 equals -8. So that's going to cancel, and I get 4x equals -8 divided by 4. So x equals -2, and my y value I found was 0. I think that's it. Yep. Have a good one.